Imagine the chilling wind of a winter evening as a pizza delivery driver starts his usual shift. The familiar routine of his job, like a comforting lullaby, echoes in his movements. The familiar routes, the well-known turns, the houses he's delivered to 1,000 times before, all etched in his mind like a map. His car, a companion in his nightly adventures, hums quietly beneath him. The dimly lit streets around him are bathed in an eerie glow from the occasional street lamp. The icy wind whistles through the small cracks in his window, a symphony of the winter night. Tonight, however, something deviates from the routine. An unusual delivery address pops up on his screen, a street he doesn't recognize, a house he's never been to. The unfamiliarity of it sends a jolt through his otherwise monotonous shift. As he punches in the foreign address into his GPS, a shiver runs down his spine. But it's just another delivery, right? The GPS leads him down darker, less familiar roads. The pizza delivery guy finds himself driving deeper into an obscurity that he'd never seen before, despite his years of delivering pizzas in the area. His car's headlights slice through the inky blackness, revealing a winding path that seems to be stretching endlessly into the heart of the night. The usual chatter of the city, the hum of traffic, the laughter and chatter of people, all have faded into an unsettling silence. The only sound accompanying him now is the low purr of his car's engine and the occasional rustle of the wind blowing through the skeletal trees that loom over him on either side of the road. Their gaunt, gnarled branches reach out like bony hands, casting monstrous shadows that seem to dance and twist with every flicker of his headlights. As he continues to drive, he realizes that he's not seen another car or a house for miles. There's a sense of isolation that's almost suffocating. A feeling of being the only living soul in a forgotten part of the world. The GPS, his only guide in this desolate landscape, finally announces his arrival. At the end of a long, graveled driveway stands an old, dilapidated house. It's a relic from another time, weathered and beaten by the elements, standing alone amidst a sea of overgrown weeds. The windows are dark, devoid of any signs of life, and the paint is peeling off the wooden panels, revealing the rotten, decaying wood underneath. It's a house that's seen better days. A house that now seems almost spectral in its loneliness. The pizza delivery guy pulls up to the house, the crunch of gravel under his car tires echoing ominously in the stillness. As he kills the engine, the front door of the house creaks open as if beckoning him inside. But there's no light, no welcoming warmth inside, just an impenetrable darkness that seems to swallow the feeble glow of his headlights. A cold shiver runs down his spine. Mustering courage, he steps out of the car, pizza box in hand. The night air is thick and heavy, pressing down on him like an unseen weight. His heart hammers in his chest, the rhythm as unsteady as his breath. He begins his slow, reluctant walk towards the house. His shoes crunch on the gravel, each step a staccato note in the otherwise silent night. The sound echoes through the darkness, bouncing off the surrounding trees and cutting through the eerie stillness. As he approaches the house, an ominous creaking sound fills his ears, each groan of the old structure a chilling reminder of its age and isolation. The front door stands ajar, a sliver of dim light leaking out and casting long, monstrous shadows that dance and flicker across the unkempt lawn. The exchange at the door is unsettlingly silent. A figure hidden in the shadows reaches out a hand to take the pizza. The hand is icy cold, the skin unnaturally pale. He can't see the figure's face, but he can feel its eyes on him, a predatory gaze that sends shivers down his spine. The figure hands over cold, hard cash, the bills crisp and new. The silence stretches on, the only sound the rustling of the money and the distant hoot of an owl. He can't shake the unnerving feeling of being watched, of being the prey in a hunter's game. His heart pounds in his ears as he hands over the pizza box, his fingers brushing against the figure's cold hand. He pulls away quickly, the chill lingering on his skin like a ghost's touch. As he turns to leave, the figure whispers, "Enjoy the show!" The voice is a low, guttural growl, a sound that chills him to his core. Confused and terrified, he rushes back to his car. The whisper echoes in his mind as he fumbles for his keys. The figure's words a chilling promise of horrors yet to come. Back in the safety of his car, he takes a moment to calm his racing heart. The driver's breath comes in ragged gasps, each one shuddering out of him as he tries to shake off the eerie vibes that clung to the house like a shroud. He starts the car, the engine purring to life under his trembling hands. The silence of the night is broken only by the low hum of the engine, providing a comforting rhythm in the chilling darkness. He takes one last look at the house in the rearview mirror, expecting to see the ominous figure at the doorway, but there's nothing. The door, previously shut, now stands wide open, a gaping void that seems to swallow the moonlight. His heart skips a beat. Confusion mingles with fear as he stares at the empty doorway. He'd been sure the figure had closed the door. He shakes his head, trying to dismiss the growing fear. It's just the wind, he convinces himself. But as he reaches for the gear shift, he catches sight of something in the dim light. Something he hadn't noticed before. A small object left in the place of the cache. It's covered in something dark, something that gleams wetly under the car's interior light. His breath hitches as he picks it up, the metallic smell hitting him like a punch. Blood. The object is covered in blood. His mind races, a cacophony of thoughts colliding as he tries to comprehend what he's seeing. He doesn't even notice his hands shaking, the bloodied object slipping from his grasp. His blood turns to ice in his veins. A horrifying realization washes over him. The figure, the blood, the open door. It all starts to make a terrifying kind of sense. As he stares at the object in horror, the sound of his own screams is drowned out by the deafening laughter originating from the now empty house. The chilling sound echoes through the night, a mocking serenade that follows him as he speeds away into the darkness. On a cold, moonless night, a phone rings in an empty pizzeria, echoing through the eerie silence. A sound, jarring and unexpected. It slices through the thick, uneasy quiet, its shrill insistence impossible to ignore. The pizzeria, usually filled with the comforting hum of life, is unnaturally still. The scent of fresh dough and simmering tomato sauce lingers in the air, but the warmth they usually bring feels distant, almost forgotten. It's a place paused, waiting, caught in the grip of an uneasy quiet. And then, the ring. It sounds again, a harsh demand that fractures the silence. It's an unwanted guest, a discordant note in the symphony of the night. A hand reaches out, tentative, the fingers brushing against the cold plastic of the receiver. A deep breath, a moment's hesitation, and then the connection is made. From the other end of the line, a voice. It's muffled and distorted, as if speaking through a thick layer of cloth. The words are simple in order for a pizza to be delivered. Yet, they carry an undercurrent of something more, something that sends a shiver down the spine. The address, when it's given, brings a pause. It's an old house, abandoned and left to the mercy of time on the outskirts of town. The place has its own tales, stories whispered in hushed tones, of chilling happenings and eerie incidents. It's a place of shadows, where the line between the real and the imagined blurs and twists. Yet, the job demands. The pizza, hot and comforting in its box, waits to be delivered. The protagonist, a delivery person caught in the web of this unnerving tale, draws a deep breath. Fear, cold and real, twists in his gut. He can taste it bitter and sharp on the back of his tongue. He gulps down his fear, preparing himself to venture into the heart of the unknown. Navigating through the dark, winding roads, the delivery man feels a chill creeping up his spine. The once familiar cityscape morphs into a grim, desolate landscape, the moonlight casting eerie shadows on the deserted streets. His headlights pierce the darkness, illuminating the skeletal trees that leer at him from the side of the road. A thick fog blankets the town, the spectral tendrils reaching out, as if trying to pull him into its cold embrace. He can hear the wind howling, a melancholy symphony that sounds almost like the wailing of tormented souls. Every gust sends a shiver down his spine, the chill biting through his jacket. The journey is becoming more and more unsettling. The silence is broken only by the gravel crunching beneath his tires and the distant echoes of the wind. Strange noises prick at his ears, unidentifiable sounds that seem to be coming from the shadows. He swears he sees figures lurking in the corners of his vision, but when he turns, they're gone. His GPS, once a beacon guiding him, starts to glitch. The once clear voice directing him becomes static, the screen flickering and distorting. The straight path it once showed is now a labyrinth of darkened alleyways and dead ends. His heart races, anxiety gnawing at his sanity. A sense of impending doom washes over him as he realizes he's lost in this deserted town, alone. He shakes his head, trying to dispel the creeping fear. He reminds himself it's just a pizza delivery, nothing more. But the words ring hollow in the deafening silence of the night. He feels like a lamb being led to slaughter, and he can't shake off the feeling that he's being watched, hunted. The house finally comes into view, a dark, foreboding silhouette against the gloomy night. It's an abandoned manor, the crumbling bricks and gnarled vines telling tales of a forgotten past. The sight of it sends a wave of dread crashing over him. His hands grip the steering wheel tighter, knuckles white. As he pulls up to the house, his heart pounds against his chest, echoing the dread that fills the air. The house stands there, a monolith of dread, its dark silhouette looming ominously against the night sky. The delivery man edges closer, the crunch of gravel underfoot a stark contrast to the eerie silence of the night. The house itself is a relic of bygone times, its once grandeur now succumbing to the ravages of time and neglect. As he reaches out to knock, the door creaks open under the weight of his touch, revealing the house's chilling innards. The air is thick with the scent of damp, age-old wood and dust, a testament to the years of abandonment. Cobwebs drape the corners of the rooms like gossamer curtains, and a thin layer of dust blankets the forgotten furniture, untouched for what could be decades. The silence of the house is suddenly broken by a sound that sends a spine-tingling chill through the delivery man. The faint, echoing laughter of a child ricochets off the ancient walls, a haunting soundtrack to the grim tableau before him. He swallows hard, the hair on the back of his neck standing on end as the chilling sound permeates the air around him. It's a sound that doesn't belong in this desolate place, yet there it is, a spectral reminder of life that once was. A sense of dread washes over him, each tick of the clock amplifying his unease. He decides it's time to leave, to abandon this delivery and escape the disquieting atmosphere of the house. He places the pizza box on a dust-covered table, its contents now an afterthought, and turns to leave. But as he turns to leave, the door slams shut behind him, trapping him within the house's chilling embrace. The echo of the slamming door reverberates through the house, a chilling punctuation to the unfolding horror. The delivery man is left standing in the heart of the haunting house, a prisoner of its spectral inhabitants, his escape thwarted by forces beyond his comprehension. The room starts to spin as he realizes he's not alone. The air grows icy cold and a chill runs down his spine. He can feel it, an unseen presence, an eerie sensation of being watched. The silence is thick, the only sound his own heartbeat drumming in his ears. Suddenly, the room fills with spectral apparitions, their forms flickering like old television static. They are the spirits of the past, echoes of lives once lived. The delivery man's blood runs cold as he sees them, the ethereal figures of men, women, and children. Their eyes hollow, their faces twisted in eternal torment, their bodies bearing the marks of gruesome, violent ends. The horror of it, the sheer gut-wrenching terror of it all is almost too much to bear. Then the room grows silent, the spectral figures turn to him, their hollow eyes boring into his soul. In a voice like the wind, they whisper their tale, a tale of a house, their house, stained with blood and cursed by malevolence. They reveal a chilling truth. They were the ones who called him here, luring him into their cursed abode with the promise of a simple pizza delivery. A wave of terror washes over him as he realizes the horrifying truth. The spirits have no intention of letting him leave. He tries to escape, but the house has other plans. The walls seem to shift and contort, leading him in circles, trapping him in a never-ending maze of horror. Just as he feels all hope is lost, his foot hits something hard. Looking down, he finds a hidden door embedded in the floor, leading to a dark, foreboding basement. His heart pounds in his chest, his mind screams at him to run, to escape, but there's nowhere to go. With no other options, he takes a deep breath, grips the cold metal handle, and descends into the darkness. Imagine a quiet, ordinary evening, a pizza delivery guy preparing for his final delivery. The pizzeria's ovens hum in the background. But tonight, something's off. A chill runs down his spine as he reads the unfamiliar address on the order ticket. It's a deviation from his usual route, an excursion into the unknown. The pizzeria's neon light flickers, casting eerie shadows. He shakes off the growing unease. He convinces himself it's just late-night jitters. He collects the warm pizza box and heads to his delivery vehicle. The comforting scent of the pizza usually feels familiar, but tonight it feels ominous. He can't ignore the sense of unease, a persistent unease that lingers. As he starts the car, the engine's growl breaks the silence. He memorizes the unfamiliar address, thinking of the unusual path he's about to take under a haunting moonlit sky. Tonight, the streets feel foreign, shrouded in an unidentified mystery. He dismisses the discomfort, attributing it to a long day. The car's headlights cut through the darkness, guiding him towards an uncharted path. As he pulls away from the pizzeria, the familiar backdrop gradually fades. Little did he know this was not going to be an ordinary delivery. Our delivery guy hops on his bike, the address locked into his GPS. He zooms through the city, the engine's hum becoming a comforting constant as he enters unfamiliar territory. The GPS, his only guide, leads him through intricate streets that seem trapped in time. The city's sounds fade, replaced by a chilling silence that surrounds him. Houses become distant and worn down, their colors faded by time. Dim lights struggle to illuminate his path, their weak glow barely reaching the darkness. Street signs, rusted and barely legible, tell tales of years of neglect. He finds himself in an old, forgotten part of the city where houses wear their aged appearances proudly. Gardens, once carefully tended, now resemble untamed jungles, the rustling leaves whispering untold tales. His unease grows with each passing moment, turning into a fear that sends shivers down his spine. The wind howls, carrying the melancholic echoes of the past. Regardless, he pushes on, following the robotic voice of his GPS. The feeling of being watched follows his every turn. His destination draws closer, the address on his GPS matching the numbers on a decaying wooden plaque. He arrives at an old abandoned mansion, its former grandeur lost, its halls whispering stories of the past. A chill runs down his spine as he stares at the looming structure. His journey is far from over. The mansion looms in front of him, its dark windows like empty eye sockets. A solitary, it stands tall amidst the encroaching darkness. The pizza delivery guy moves towards it, his box growing heavy. Each step seems to increase its weight, doubling the dread in the mansion, though decrepit, seems to hold a flicker of life. A faint light emanates, wavering, drawing him towards the unknown. His hovers over the doorbell, a cold shiver runs down his spine. He pushes it. A mournful toll echoes through the silence returns, smothering him. No response comes, yet the door opens on its own. A sliver of darkness invites him in. His heart pounds, matching his escalating fear. Time is running out. Steeling himself, he steps across the threshold, his voice resonating. "Pizza delivery!" His words bounce off the marble floors, swallowed by the mansion, yet he ventures drawn by the light and hope of a customer. As he moves further, the door slams shut. As he ventures deeper into the mansion, the door slams shut behind him. The mansion has claimed another visitor, its secrets waiting to be unveiled. Trapped inside the mansion, our delivery guy starts to panic. A rush of fear engulfs him. Mansion, once a creepy abandoned monument, currently throbs with a mysterious energy. His heart pounds like a frenzied drum beating in the silence. He senses it, an entity. Something or someone is observing him from the murkiness. Murmuring voices weave through the air, a spine chilling that makes his flesh quiver. Yet he's at a loss to identify their origin. The voices seem to emanate from all directions and none at the same time. Filled with desperation, he attempts to locate an escape route. However, the mansion, mirroring a convoluted maze, appears to morph and reconfigure around him, ensnaring him in its icy, ominous clasp. The temperature drops sharply. His breath, visible in the harsh cold, morphs into an ethereal white vapor, vanishing as swiftly as it materializes. An icy dread seizes him. He's disoriented, lost in a never-ending chaos of ornate corridors and shadowy rooms. The mansion seems to be closing in on him, its specter looming larger with each passing moment. It's a surreal nightmare that he can't escape from. The laughter of children, a chilling sound in the stifling silence, echoes piercing the stillness. Just as he's about to give up, he hears a child's laughter coming from upstairs.